You turn on the news to get facts. But what if you are actually being told a story? See, the most convincing lies aren't the ones that are entirely fabricated. They are the ones wrapped in just enough truth to be believable. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 subtle but powerful signs that the news is trying to manipulate you. And by the end, you will never look at a headline the way again. Every day, we are hit with tidal wave of information, breaking news alerts, trending stories, and that endless social media scroll. We rely on these sources to make sense of the world and be informed. But the information we get is rarely just a simple list of facts. Think of it like a meal. It's been carefully selected, packaged, and presented with a specific goal in mind to get you to consume it in a certain way. Now, this isn't about turning you into a cynic who trusts nothing. It's about making you a critical thinker. It's about empowerment. The goal is to give you the tools to see the past, the surface, and understand the how and the why behind any story. Because the news doesn't just tell us what to think about, it heavily influences how we think about it. News outlets are often businesses fighting for your attention, but they are driven by a particular agenda, and the tricks they use to keep you watching are the very same ones that can twist the truth. So let's pull back the curtain. We are going to break down the 5 biggest red flags that you are being manipulated so you can take back control of your own perspective. First up, and maybe the most powerful sign, is something called biased framing. Think of a picture frame. The frame you choose completely changes how you see the picture inside. It can highlight certain colors and push others to the background. News framing does the same thing with information. It's the angle and language used to present a story, and it's designed to emphasize certain details while downplaying others. It's like a tour guide for a story that can point your attention to the beautiful scenery while making sure you never see the crumbling foundation just out of view. This is one of the sickest forms of manipulation because it doesn't need fake information to work. It just presents real facts in a way that guides you towards specific conclusion. Take a protest, for example. One outlet might run the headline, "Courageous citizens demand action on climate crisis." Words like courageous and demand action frame the protesters as heroes. Another outlet covering the exact same event could write, "Climate activists disrupt city traffic in latest protests." Here the word disrupt instantly frames them as a public nuisance. Both headlines are factually true. Citizens were protesting and traffic was disrupted, but the frames create 2 totally different emotional reactions and judgments. You will see this in economic news too. A new policy might be framed as a bold step towards prosperity, while another source calls it a risky experiment with uncertain outcomes. The first one inspires hope, and the second one triggers anxiety. See, how do you spot it? When you are watching a news story, ask yourself, what's the main focus here? What kinds of words are they using to describe people and events? And most importantly, what might be getting left outside the frame? The best way to see the whole picture is to check out how different sources are covering the same topic. That's when you really see the frames at work. Next up is a tactic that plays on our human nature, the use of emotional triggers. Have you ever read a headline that made you instantly angry, scared, or even overjoyed? That feeling is not an accident. Think of your emotions as the volume dial for your critical thinking. News outlets know that when they crank up the fear or anger, they are turning the volume of your logic way down. When our emotions spike, our critical thinking tends to plummet. Fear is one of the most common triggers. Headlines like warning, this common habit could be destroying your health. Use fear to make you feel a sense of urgency. The information might be valid, but the main goal is to trigger a primal fear response that makes you click. Anger is another big one. Stories about injustice or political scandals are crafted to provoke outrage because an angry leader is an engaged reader. This is the core of sensationalism, where outlets amplify the dramatic or shocking part of a story to get a big emotional reaction. They might focus on things like crime or celebrity scandals, using dramatic language and vivid imagery to make events feel bigger and more personal than they actually are. Think about how crime is often covered. A story might be packaged with scary music and a laser focus on the most heartbreaking details. This taps into our empathy and fear, which can warp our perception of how common or dangerous crime actually is, even if the statistics tell a completely different story. This doesn't mean news shouldn't have emotion. Many events are genuinely tragic or inspiring, but you have to be aware of when your emotions are being intentionally manipulated. When you feel a strong out reaction to a story, just pause. Ask yourself, is this story giving me balanced facts? Or is it merely trying to make me feel something? Is the emotion a natural part of the story, or is it the main thing being used to sell it to me? The third sign is we've all fallen out for misleading headlines. In a fast scrolling world, the headline is often more important than the article itself. Think of it like a movie trailer. A trailer might show you all the explosions and car chases, making you think it's an action blockbuster. But if the actual movie is a slow philosophical drama, you were misled. The trailer sold you a ticket on a false promise, and the headlines often do the same to get your click. The most obvious type is pure clickbait. You won't believe what happened next, but the more deceptive forms are subtle. One viral headline read, "A healthy doctor died 2 weeks after getting a COVID-19 vaccine." CDC is investigating why. That headline doesn't technically lie, but it heavily implies a cause and effect that wasn't proven, creating widespread doubt. Another classic tactic is the question headline like, "Is the economy headed for a crash?" The headline isn't claiming it will crash. It's not false, but it plants a seed of fear and uncertainty. The article might be a balanced discussion, but the damage is already done by the alarming questions. We are also seeing a rise in completely fabricated headlines. People create and share screenshots of fake headlines from real news sources to spread misinformation, and these fakes often go viral before the outlet can even debunk them. The defense here is simple, but it takes discipline. Never take a headline at face value. Always read the actual article before you form an opinion or share it. Ask yourself if the story truly supports the claim in the headline, and if you see a headline screenshot floating around on social media, be extra skeptical. Go directly to the source to see if it's even real. The fourth sign is maybe the trickiest one to spot: selective omission. Sometimes the biggest lie is in what they don't tell you. This is like being given a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, but with 200 key pieces secretly left out of the box. You can still assemble a picture, but it won't be the complete true image. You are left to draw conclusions based on a distorted version of reality, or because you don't know what's missing. Bias by omission robs you of the context you need to make a truly informed judgment. A classic example is when athletes conveniently ignore stories that are damaging to their preferred political side. A major scandal involving one party might get 24/7 coverage on one channel while being completely ignored by another. This creates information bubbles where viewers are clueless about major events that others see as critical. But it can be even more subtle. A report on rising hate crimes might state that crimes are up for the third straight year, but it might forget to mention that the number of police departments reporting their data also went up by over 1,000 during that same time. That missing piece of context makes it clear whether hate crimes are actually rose or it just looks like they did because more data was collected. So how do you spot something that isn't even there? The key is to consume news from a variety of sources, especially athletes with different political leanings. When you read about a major event from one source, make it a habit to see how another is covering it. You will often find that the details one athlete focuses on are the exact same ones another completely ignores. Comparing coverage is the only reliable way to fill in the gaps. And the final sign is one of the oldest tricks in the book: discrediting the source. This is a logical fallacy known as an ad hominem attack. It's like a lawyer in a courtroom who can't disprove the evidence. What do they do instead? They attack the witness on the stand, questioning their motives or characters. They try to make the jury doubt the messenger, so they will dismiss the message entirely. In the media, this is a killer way to dismiss a valid point without ever having to engage with the facts. You see this happen all the time to whistleblowers or scientists. When climate scientists publish new data, some athletes will ignore the search and instead launch personal attacks, accusing the scientists of having a political agenda or just being in it for the money. This tactic is called poisoning the well. It makes the audience distrust the source and by extension all of their research without ever having to prove it wrong. Studies have actually shown that these personal attacks can be just as effective at swaying public opinion as attacking the evidence itself. You will see it on opinion shows where a guest argument is shut down with a simple label: "Oh, you are just saying that because you are a liberal," or "Well, consider the source, that's a biased publication." When a journalist exposed a program where commentators were being secretly paid, many responses were personal attacks against the journalist instead of addressing the ethical problem. To protect yourself from this, here's the rule: always separate the argument from the person making it. When you see a source being attacked, ask yourself, is the criticism about evidence they are presenting, or is it about them? A strong argument should be able to stand on its own, no matter who's delivering it. So, there you have it. Biased framing, emotional triggers, misleading headlines, selective omission, and discrediting the source. These 5 tactics are the primary ways that media narratives are shaped to influence your perception. They work by exploiting our natural biases, our emotional responses, and our short attention spans. But the point of knowing this isn't to make you paranoid or to get you to tune out completely. It's the exact opposite. It's about becoming an active, not a passive consumer of information. It's about developing a healthy skepticism that pushes you to ask more questions and to seek out different perspectives and demand better from our news sources. The world is a complicated place and no single story will ever capture the whole truth. But by learning to recognize the techniques used to shape what you see, you can get a whole lot closer to it. You can stop being sold a story and start building your own understanding of the world. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content that helps you think more critically. And I really want to hear from you. What's an example of media manipulation you've seen lately? Share it in the comments below so we can all get smarter together. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.